Hello and welcome or welcome back to Simply Gingy. My name is Anna and this is my channel where I like to talk about my irrational amount of hobbies, mostly knitting, journaling / planning, and reading. Today we're going to be doing a flip through of March in my planners. We're going to do my cousin and my weeks. So let's get right into the video. We'll start with the weeks, I guess, because it's much shorter. So I've been using my weeks mostly for future planning, a little bit of daily logging, a little bit of a reading journal. It's kind of been a hodgepodge. I'm trying to figure out. I'm letting this year be very much whatever happens in here happens. So starting on my year at a glance, this is where I track my period. So I just do those. I need to circle for April still. And then originally here was going to be a no buy tracker, but I ended up not using it for that. And then let's go to my monthlies. I theoretically use this for my future planning, like actually supposed to be using this, but I clearly don't really have a lot going on. I had a tattoo appointment middle of March. I got a lamppost tattoo from In the Witch in the Wardrobe, or I mean just the Chronicles of Narnia in general, I suppose. And then just, yeah, I haven't really been using this. I don't have a lot of things that I have to do, and I started nail school on the 31st. And then I just wrote down here some vague things that I need to get done this month, like find summer camps and sign up for swim lessons. So that is March in my, whatever this called, my monthlies. Again, this has been kind of a very hodgepodge planner. So here's the first week of March. So originally I had been using this for a reading journal, and then I kind of added in some planning as well as some little daily logging. So this is the last week of February, first week of March. And I just started with a little habit tracker at the top and then a to-do list that is a running to-do list for the entire week. This week was probably, I think, the last week I used my fountain pen in here because it is just, on the new Tomoe River paper, it just bleeds so dramatically in the weeks. I don't find the same problem in my cousin, which is very interesting. But let's see, what did here we moved into our new house. This was what I finished reading this week, Through the Clouds, A Path is Torn by Galaxy Skies. It's a fan fiction on AO3. I wrote this fic was like a punch in the gut. It was very emotional. And I started The Familiar. Oh, by Lee, but what is her name? Laduga? I did not end up finishing this. This was a DNF for me. I started Anthropology, a Fragment, Anthroposophy, a Fragment. This is a lectures by Rudolf Steiner, who is, if you're familiar with Waldorf education, he's the founder of Waldorf education. It was something that I was looking into for my kids in terms of more home life, because we cannot afford to send them to a Waldorf school, but kind of trying to integrate some of those ideas and thoughts into our home life, as well as like preschool-y kind of homeschooling stuff for my kids. And then the first week I continued with this kind of the tracker. I think I'd already changed what I was doing. So on here, I'm not doing like water intake, movement and stuff like that. I'm doing kind of more my hobby tracking. So French and Russian practice, knitting, reading, and then editing my novel. Which I'm both editing my novel to one day potentially try to publish it, but I've also my motivation to edit it has been posting it chapter by chapter to AO3, where I've edited it into a Hermione fanfiction. So if you are interested in reading that, it's up on AO3. I'll link it below. And then again, just to-dos. I've been decorating. These are all stickers from Serica Studio. This was some of her winter collection, and then these are like poetry dots. And then on this side, I was trying to do, where we need to be, And then some daily logging. I think I stopped tracking a lot of reading. I was kind of in a fanfiction spiral right now in this period, so I kind of stopped tracking a lot of that because there was a lot that I was reading. I was reading a lot of shorter fics. I went to a knitting circle. This was very exciting for me. It was the first time I went to a knitting store to like sit and knit. The median age was probably about 70, but they were the funniest older ladies I've ever met. Like, they were cursing up a storm, just like talking crap about other people, self-deprecating. It was fabulous. I love going to spend time with them. And then this week, these are stickers that I got from Daiso. I'm not sure if they're like a Daiso brand, as well as this washi is from Daiso. Actually, that might be a sticker. It's either a sticker or a washi from Daiso. Again, the tracker, I clearly did not fill it out. Some weeks I'm really good about tracking things, and then some weeks it's just not something that I care about. And then my to-do list, and then this week I read a lot of Snape Hermione fics. So I was doing the same thing where I was doing kind of where I needed to be, as well as to-dos on this side, like date-specific to-dos, and then tracking my reading here. And then over here was where I was kind of, again, talking about kind of just little short reviews of a lot of the fan fictions that I was reading. I was reading a lot. I'm trying to think if these are kind of the ones that I liked the most. So we have Unforced Error. I cannot read my handwriting there. Time's Hammer by I Should Be. This one was really good. Mind Over Matter. 30 Days Hath September, and Bound and Determined. Those were some really good ones if you are interested in that. We continue. This was a week where I was trying something new, and then of course my daughter got her hands on it. This is a washi tape from Heidi Swap. This was, I think, though, in one of her like Stop the Blur kits. And then this is Serica Studio. I moved my tracker over because I decided I was going to use this section with like the line to plan out my language learning goals for the week, like what I wanted to do on each day. Yeah, and then the same thing over here where I needed to be, and then my books. This was when Sunrise on the Reaping came out. I still have not read it. I've started it, but it's just been very hard for me to get into, not because it's like bad or like boring or anything, but I emotionally am struggling with it. I think when I started it, I legitimately cried 3 times in like the first 3 chapters. And it's just because, I mean, obviously it's like Susan Collins obviously knows exactly the trigger points to get us to feel attached and emotional to these characters and the supporting characters. And so she's been doing it. I've been reading that very slowly. And then we actually went to see the Laurie Berkner Band, which is like a children's performer. If you have kids, or even if you, I don't know when she started performing. I don't know if it was when I was a kid or when one of my little brothers was a kid, but these are songs that I recognize from either my childhood or working as a babysitter throughout my life. I loved it. It was very, very fun. I loved going to like little concerts like this as a kid. I remember we went to like the Backyardigans live. I went to Dragon Tales live as a kid. I might have seen the Wiggles live. And so I like that I can do that with my kids now. And then I was continuing reading some Greats in the Miney fics and writing about them. So these were some, I'm trying to think of which ones of these were like actually worth recommending. I don't know if any of them were. The Path Between Us. This is one of my favorite ones. I've read this one several times. It's just like a very short, cute, kind of fluffy, very sweet fic. And then the last week of March here, I didn't really set this up at all. And then I don't know what was going on this week because obviously I didn't write anything. We'll see once I go through my Hobonichi. So I finished 2 fics, or 2.5. I Hope This Letter Finds You Well by Mystery Dragons. This one was recommended. I found on Instagram. It was a Hermione writing from Azkaban. It was very emotional. Really recommend it. And then The Dead of Time, I finally finished. This one I had taken a long break from because it was starting to get to that emotional point. Sometimes with really long fics, once I start to get upset where I knew that, oh, that what's going to happen is going to start upsetting me, I just stop reading them. And then I'll oftentimes come back to them. And yeah, that was the end of March in my weeks. I don't think I had any back pages this month. I just had maybe some shopping lists. I started to plan some binding stuff. I haven't been using the workout tracker or the adulting log that I had taped in here from Lindsay Scribbles, and I haven't been using my no spend tracker. I do want to try to catch up with this on this month, on April. I have been trying to do a little bit of a no spend or a low spend for April, so I might try to catch up and figure out what days I spent money. But that is my weeks for March. Let me put my little, this is from Daiso as well. We had a Daiso where we lived in California, and I loved it. I miss it so much. Let's see. I don't know if it'll hold that many pages. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so those are the weeks. Let's move on to my Hobonichi cousin. So I added some stuff to the front pocket here. These are just, again, some Serica Studio stickers that I cut in half, I think, to originally, I don't know where I was putting these, but they fit really nicely in here now. As well as some back here. She just teased on her story that she's adding some new ones to the shop soon, so I'm very excited to get some more spring kind of stuff. And then I have some sterling ink planers from maybe a year ago or 2 years ago. But I just kind of decorate a little bit. I don't do a lot. I've talked about this. I don't use the calendar or, oh my gosh, look at that. I was like playing with trying to figure out a weekly schedule for us just recently. My daughter got her hands on it again, as she does. But I don't use any of these. So let's get to March. What month is it? March. So here we have March. At this point, I think this is right after I had moved into it. Yes. I moved into the week, or the cousin, at the tail end of February. So at this point, I'm still kind of like trying to figure out how I'm using the cousin. And I really let this be very, I guess, organic. In terms of where I'm putting things on the page. I'm trying to use different pens or inks to kind of break things up a little bit. This ink, I forget what color it is. It's, oh, here, hold on. It is Syrah by Diamine. Matched the month really well. I was talking just a little journaling about the gifts my daughter got for her birthday. Talking about reading about Waldorf stuff, and so I have a lot of quotes from some Waldorf and Rudolf Steiner books throughout. This one I thought was very interesting. It is through imitation that young children learn most of the time. It's not a very profound quote, but it was, I think, very good reminder as a parent that, again, kids are not gonna, you can't do as I say, not as I do. Kids are gonna do as you do. And then this one I thought was very relevant to our current world. The salvation of this human world lies nowhere else than in the human heart, in the human power to reflect, in human meekness, and in human responsibility. And that is from the democratic leader of the Czech Republic in the 90s. I think that is something that we as Americans specifically need to be doing a lot of, reflecting. We're just talking about the books I was reading. I was reflecting on the fact that we had some people over for my daughter's birthday, and while I love having the people in my house for a little bit, I very quickly cannot handle having people here. I'm very much of an introvert, and I was very happy when everyone left, in the sense that I was just like, it's quiet. I can go to rooms in my house and no one is there. My husband started his new job. I took my daughter to the story time at our local library. She did not enjoy it, but we went anyway. These are all stickers from Serica Studio. I'm like trying to decorate. I find it a little bit hard. At this point, I realized that I was very into Waldorf, and I was very much trying to plan something for my kids. I think all of these are like Waldorf quotes from Rudolf Steiner. I took my kids to the aquarium this day. This is a sticker. My daughter got my alphabet stickers and stuck them all throughout. Waiting for the sea lion show, which is really cool. I love them. We've gone several times now, and my kids, again, they would prefer to just play than even see the animals half the time. We have a membership to the aquarium near us, so we try to go pretty often. Like, I've been taking them almost weekly, and a lot of times they want to see like the sea lion show, and then they just want to play in like the play areas, or this is just a rock. They were just playing, and it was my daughter would climb to the top of it and go, "Help me, I'm falling, I'm falling." And my son would like help her, and by help her, I mean he would push her off. But that's what she wanted, so. Gosh, this one, so many stickers. These are all letter stickers. So this is that washi from Heidi Swaff again, and then some Serica Studio stickers. These were, I was writing down all of the patterns from a video I was watching, knitting patterns. I talked about most of these in my knitting plans for 2025, if you want to watch that. Some just general journaling. I've been doing kind of back and forth with whether this is like a journal, or like a journal that I don't want anyone to ever read except for me, or a memory keeper. So it's kind of gone back and forth. I've been doing a lot of journaling, reflecting in it. And there's some more Rudolf Steiner quotes. I was trying to restart my YouTube channel here, which I did, obviously. Some just reflecting on, again, all of my hobbies. And I feel like I am someone who, I often think of myself as like multi-passionate, multi-passionate, I guess. And how much of that is that I'm multi-passionate versus how much of it is just that I'm too afraid to commit to something for like one reason or another. And then I just don't know what I actually want. And so that has been something that I've been really working on, thinking about and thinking through this past month. And I feel like it gets kind of seen throughout here. This was a bad anxiety day that I was really struggling with. I think for most of the rest of March, I was struggling really badly with anxiety, and just, I was going through it. And I was having a hard time, again, with this kind of idea of trying to figure out where I'm going in life, and what I want to do, and how I want to spend my time, and how to spend my time productively but enjoyably, and also with my kids. My kids are playing, I've been playing Mario Kart, and my daughter likes to play, so we have like the actual controllers for the Switch, and then my son uses like a GameCube controller that we plug in. So my daughter will have like the handheld controllers, and she'll just sit and play, even if it's just one player. She likes to pretend. These are washi tape is from Daiso, and I believe these stickers are as well. At this point, I was like, maybe I still want to start like gluing stuff in. I think this is the only thing I glue in. Just random, this like just daily logging kind of stuff that I wrote down. I bought my kids new wooden slats and balls from Grimm's to build stuff with, which we've been loving. It's been such a great thing. It's been a very good imaginative play thing for them. They've come up with some great contraptions, ball runs, castles. They use them, oh gosh, there was something they were using, phones. They pretend they're phones. Like it's been amazing. They're literally just slats of wood. And this is why I love kind of like the Waldorf ideology. It's so imaginative, and giving my kids, you know, that kind of thing. It's amazing how quickly their brains can switch from tablet play, where everything's kind of being done for them, to this very imaginative play, and I love it. This is really where I started going through it. So a lot of blank pages coming up. This is half a sentence. I watched a video on why niching down that was it. I think the video was about how niching down doesn't actually help you. Everything is always about niching down, and how you shouldn't do it because it makes you boring. I kind of agree with that, but also at the same time, it doesn't always work that way. I was playing with using the top part as a to-do list, as it's supposed to be. This are all of the Hermione fan fictions I read in like the week around this time. I read a lot. More blank pages. This is when I got my tattoo, so that's a picture of the tattoo I got on the back of my arm. I made this decision last year that I want this arm to kind of be all of my book / movies, mostly books, but definitely some movie kind of related tattoos. I have a bunch planned. I really loved the artist that did this. She was just very good, and also like I really enjoyed her as a person, so I hope she can do at least one more for me before we move. So this was, I took a couple days off from doing anything productive. I had my period at some point in this time, and that was part of it, was just I needed to just wallow and not do anything. Trying to get back into doing things and trying to get back and focusing. I thought this was a great quote that I wrote down. I seem to have loved you in numberless forms, numberless times, and life after life, and age after age, forever. Cannot read who wrote that. It was in the front of a book I read. Talking about knitting group and how I loved it. It makes me really sad. I can't go for a couple more weeks because I'm in school on Sundays now, but I hope to go back soon. A couple more pages of blankness, more blankety blanks. Talking about working on nail art again, how I wanted to kind of really focus on practicing as I am in nail school now and hoping to start working as a nail tech fairly quick soon. Yeah. I need to start actually practicing again and like working on figuring out what my style is and what I enjoy doing. So that's kind of something that I'm working on, which goes into, I think, still trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. Just some kind of memory keeping stuff. I went to take a bath last night, ended up with 2 children in with me. So, and it's just so funny. My son has, I think since he's going to school, I don't know if it's his teachers or if there's another kid in his class that says a lot of weird, funny stuff. He just has all these catchphrases now. So we got into the bath and he sings down and he goes, "Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about." I just thought that was so funny. Again, we went to the aquarium. My kids, we spent most of the time in this little play area, and then the other half the time we just watched the belugas, which are a favorite of mine. I love beluga whales. And then some more decorating. All this is from Daiso, and then Heidi Swap again. I'm wanting to do when I post a video, do the thumbnail for it in here to remember what I did. Someone bookmarked my fig on AO3, which was really exciting. And it gave me a big boost in wanting to like actually get back into editing. It's something that I struggle with. I wrote this story, in 2023 maybe. So it's been a few years now, which is crazy. Yeah, I think I wrote it in 2023. I wrote it in like July of 2023. And I just really want to actually edit it now. Got another video edited, and then this is when I jumped back into Dead of Time. I wrote, "It's going to hurt. I know, it'll hurt. I'm not ready for the hurt." I was not ready for the hurt. It did hurt. It did hurt a lot. And this is when we went to the Lori Berkner band that I talked about. I did not do any journaling for this. I still don't know. I kind of go back and forth with whether or not I want to do any backfilling. I think for stuff like this, I might just general day-to-day things. I don't really think I have a desire to. That's kind of why I've been using this a little bit as daily logging, just so that way I have like something written even when I fail to do any kind of thing in here. But something like this where we actually went and did something, I might come back and do a little bit of journaling just for posterity. Some more blank pages. Who would have thought? Some notes on a podcast I was listening to, trying to get back into doing to-dos in here. I was really trying to figure out my day-to-day planning, because this I think has worked really well for like a weekly kind of plan. Like it's almost like a brain dump, my weekly to-do list. But I think day-to-day at this point I was really struggling. I feel like I was kind of trying to turn over this new leaf in terms of productivity and scheduling my day out a little bit better so that I'm not kind of just like floating through life. And I have kind of figured that out now, I think. So we'll talk about that in next month's video. But I was just trying to use this as a to-do list. Blubbity blub. This was kind of a turning point this end of the month. The last few days was a big turning point for me. I found, or I rediscovered Grace Beverly, who is a fitness influencer from back in the day. And now she is, I want to say she was a Forbes 30 under 30. She runs several businesses, and she has a really great podcast where she interviews some very interesting people. And so I've been listening to a lot of her video or podcast videos, and also started reading a couple of books that she's recommended. This was a big turning point, I think, where I really started to decide this is what I'm focusing on moving forward. So like this, I may have finally cracked and given up on wanting to do everything, that I'm ready to close the dream of homeschooling. Especially, there was this day where I took my son to school and he just walked in and like flops down on the ground. Like he was just so happy and comfortable and felt so safe there. And I think I just like realized that he doesn't need to stay home with me. And also, again, I don't need to be able to do everything. That some things I need to be able to just release to other people. And schooling is one of them. Yeah, and talking about kind of some hobbies that I want to give up or set aside for a little bit, at least. And then focusing on following people who make me want to be a better person versus people who make me wish I was a different person. That was a big thing for me. Again, I went through a big unfollow, like purge on my social media, on my Instagram, as well as YouTube, but mostly Instagram, of deleting all those people that were either people I followed at a different point in my life that they were no longer inspiring to me, or that I wasn't interested in what they were posting, or they were people that make me wish I was a different person without that kind of spark of motivating me to do any sort of change. Yeah, this was just always funny. My daughter just laid down a diaper pad and took a little nap on the stairs. This is Sterling ink stickers. A little morning journaling. My daughter has been doing this thing for the past like month and a half where she wakes up at 2 a.m. for absolutely no reason. And then we sleep on the couch for several hours. It's not fun. My niece was born. My sister-in-law had a baby. Her baby, so I'm covering up the picture, but this is a picture of her. She was very, very cute. My kids are very excited to have a little cousin now. And then the last day of March, I started to have a more regimented planners. So again, Sterica Studio. I took a run. I went on a run with my daughter. She passed out in the stroller. This was, I think, her first stroller nap ever. My son took a lot of stroller naps because when my son was this age, I was training for a marathon, and he went on almost every training run with me. So he's very comfortable with this. My daughter, for the first like 20 minutes of this run, literally was trying to throw herself out of the stroller. And then eventually she just passed out and then stayed asleep for like 2 hours in the stroller. It was great. My mind feels blocked, like I'm unsure what even to write. I'm trying too hard to do this a certain way. Yeah, this was what I was trying to do like a little bit of morning journaling, like morning pages-esque, but obviously not 3 pages worth. Just trying to kind of have a moment in the morning before I really start trying to think of what I want to do during the day. And now before I even touch my phone, just trying to get out some kind of random thoughts. And again, I just felt like I have no idea what I'm doing. This just feels like I'm going through the motions a little bit. And these are some nail salon name ideas that I was coming up with. I think a big part of this process of figuring out what I want out of life is, as we can talk about here, we'll talk about this next month though, is really coming up with a true vision board for my life and trying to actually think past tomorrow, and where I'm moving. So one of those things that I really decided that I want to do is not only be a nail tech, not only have like my own salon suite, but eventually have like a little salon, where I have several employees myself, whether they be actual employees or, contract workers or booth renters. So part of that was I was coming up with just some names that I might want to call my salon one day. I'm really trying to let myself dream a little bit more and picture where my life is going to be in more than, again, a couple months. I think it's so hard sometimes with just the little kids feeling stuck, because obviously I have 2 kids at home 2 days a week and 1 kid home 5 days a week. So I don't have a lot of time to do a lot of things for myself or move forward. I think with a lot of goals, I don't, because they're home with me, I can't really work. And so I think a lot of times I get stuck in this pattern of thinking that my life is always going to look like that. And that's obviously just not the case. Eventually, both of them are going to be in school full time, and I will be able to work however I see fit. And so I think I'm trying to start imagining that, especially because my daughter is 2 now, so she'll start preschool soon. And then, I mean, again, it's only, 2.5 more years until she's in school full time, which seems like a lot, but it's really not. Like, I know that time will move very quickly. So I'm ready to start, like, actually thinking about it so that once the time comes, I'm not like, oh, what am I doing with my life now? But that was March in my Hobonichis. So that was it. Yeah. I know I had a lot of blank pages. I don't think I have as many this month. I think I've really kind of started to figure out, I feel I'm like showing you what I'm doing. I haven't had any really true blank pages yet this month. I don't think it's going to have really any. I've been very, I think, more consistent, and also I figured out how I want to use the Hobonichi a little bit more. I think March was, again, a big transition kind of processing month for me, and I am ready to kind of like move forward in a more consistent fashion and a more intentional fashion with a lot of things in my life, the Hobonichi cousin being one of them. The weeks are a little bit still all over the place, but that's okay. We're getting there. We're figuring this out. But yeah, so that was March and my 2 Hobonichis. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that some of what I was talking about was a little bit interesting to you. And I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.